Hi everyone, I'm GREYMOND. Today I wanted to talk to you about the types of people that recover from OCD versus types of people that don't recover from OCD. Because this is a question I get very often. Well, will I recover? And so, which category do you fall into? So, what I see, again, this is, completely analytics. It comes from 10 years of doing this. There's two types of people. There is a person who will come to me and say, okay, Ali, I've watched your videos. I've listened to everything you have to say. I need to beat this. Let's do this. And you just tell me what you need to do, what I need to do, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it until it's done. So let's just do this. You guide me, I'm doing it. And it's that go-getter, like I will beat this attitude that will get that person recovered. And again, in 10 years of experience, I can tell you it doesn't matter if that person is 10 years old or if that person is 60 years old. You know, it doesn't matter. I don't see any difference in terms of um, how the brain recovers. It doesn't, I'm sure, there's some sort of differences, but there's in terms of speed I don't see it. I mean, logically you would think that there is, but honestly, in my experience, I don't see it. If anything, I what I see, usually it's harder with young people, but not because of the brain situation, but more because of the attitude situation. Because an older person generally have gone through things in life. They've gone through good times, they've gone through very bad times over the course of decades, right? But if I, for example, talk to a very young person and I tell them to push through that, they will say, "Oh, I push through? I don't want to do that. That's very hard. I don't want to feel bad. I'm doing exposure work. It's very hard. I don't want to do that." While if I tell an older person that, they'll say, "Okay, I understand. I have gone through this and this in my life. That was also difficult. I've gotten through that. I can get through this." You know what I mean? So that life experience kind of helps to push through. I find that, especially when I talk to people who have gone through any kind of addiction or anything like that, where they had to overpower the mind, people who are very into like weight training or like fitness in general, um, yeah, all of that kind of stuff helps, like discipline and pushing through. That really helps. And with young people, they just don't have those skills yet a lot of the time, so it becomes a little more difficult. But again, this is just individuality. Now, um, the people that don't recover, okay, the people that don't recover basically, and most people in my program recover, right? Some people recover slower, some people recover faster. If you're making progress right now, then you will recover. It's just a matter of time. But it's if the person is resisting doing any exposure work, they're delaying, they're making up a million excuses, they are not following the process, like basically they have an explanation and excuse for everything, but there's no action or very, very little action, but it's not growing. Like, it's okay if there's little action, but it's growing. So it's like, okay, the person started with doing 90% of the reassurance stuff, like the whatever physical, mental rituals, but and only 10% of the refusal last week. Now it's 20%, so there's growth. We're seeing a pattern of growth. That means, they're learning to do this and they'll get there. But if week after week the person is not pushing through and it's not getting better, if anything it's getting worse, and the rituals are growing and the person is making excuses and nothing is happening, then what can I say? In that specific time period, it doesn't look like the person will recover. That's not to say that they will never recover. It's just to say that right now they're not working towards the recovery. They're not doing enough work to make a difference. So they're either, like I said, doing very little, or they're not doing any at all and they're just caught up in compulsions. You know? So and the reason why I'm making this video is you need to see where you are, in these situations like what I'm discussing, right? Because if you are one of these people, right? That's, making excuses, not doing what you need to be doing, because you know what you need to be doing. You need to not be analyzing. You need to not be doing compulsions, no matter how difficult it feels, no matter how real they seem. Like I always say, you can cry, you can punch walls, you can scream, but you cannot do compulsions and you cannot ruminate. you know if you have to delay it, so you can say, okay, I'm going to do it later, but I'm not going to do it right now. And it's 5% more each day. In terms of rumination, what that looks like is you make like, okay, create an hour for yourself, say between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No matter what, I will not analyze, because a lot of people ask about the mental stuff, the mental compulsions, right? Mental rituals, analyzing. So between 2 and 3, no matter what, I'm not going to analyze. I'm going to really monitor myself, and I'll make sure I will not analyze. In terms of physical compulsions, with physical compulsions, you can go two ways here. You can reduce everything throughout the day by 5%, or you can also do this one clear hour. Of no compulsions, no matter what. And that doesn't mean that you're doing avoidance. So okay, if I'm, you know what I mean, like if I'm not moving at all, then I don't really need to do a compulsion. Nothing like that. Like you're going about your life, but you're not doing compulsions. And then the next day you increase. So if you feel like an hour is too much, start with 15 minutes. It doesn't matter how little you do the first day, as long as, like I said, there's a continuation and there's improvement. So, you know like, put it this way: if you do 1 minute by 1 minute and increase, it's still going to move you forward enough that you will recover, you know? So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thinking. It just has to be just something, and then the next day improvement, And there will be days where there's setbacks. Again, 10 years of experience, every person has setbacks, every single person. But what's important is, first of all, that that setback doesn't last for a long time. That also uh, well, I do this with clients, but then you could do this by yourself as well, that you go over what happened. So okay, yesterday I had a setback, right? Why did I have a setback? Was I stressed? Was I tired? Was there a certain trigger that got me? And then you work on that. So if it was a certain trigger, do exposures for that. If you feel like doing exposure directly with the triggers too too much and you'll get into more of a setback, then work up to it, right? So do like a little bit of an exposure, right? And kind of increase. Um, so kind of understanding what happened. I find that stress really plays a role in OCD. In OCD recovery and in having setbacks. So that's probably, like, whenever I talk to clients, that's usually the number one reason why the person had a setback is stress. Something happened and then they started to react, and then OCD came in and they reacted to that as well. You know. So this just gives you an overview of generally how people go through the process of recovery, so you understand um, where you are, what you need to change, and it's just improvement, right? Just like any other skill, as you're going, you're improving, and eventually you will recover. And then when I say eventually, I would say, again, 10 years of experience, about 6 months is pretty much a standard figure. But the person, when they are really pushing, when they're really doing the work, in about 2 months they feel like they're almost recovered. But I still say that, for the brain to fully kind of, you know not even fully heal, but to significantly heal, is about 6 months. But I would say the full year, you have to really watch to make sure you're not getting into OCD thoughts. And OCD can switch from theme to theme, so this is why, it's important to understand how OCD works and different themes that OCD has, so then you don't fall for it if it brings up another theme as well. I hope you find my videos helpful. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. I do daily videos discussing all things OCD related. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to do the recovery program, as always, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.